Now on UpNorthLive News at 6.
I lost a huge chunk of my heart when he was gone.
A unique perspective on the plan to remove a pedestrian bridge in front of Traverse City State Park. The life lost before that bridge was built. Ferry companies at odds with Mackinac Island over ferry rates and schedules take their grievances to federal court. Going from 4 buildings to 2, we look at the proposed plan to consolidate Sault Ste Marie schools. Plus, the search for a 7-year-old parrot who accidentally got out of his pet store home in Houghton Lake. And we are exploring Michigan with a trip to Legoland Discovery Center. What to know before you go.
This is UpNorthLive News at 6 on 7 and 4.
A month ago, East Bay Township Planning Commissioners approved the Department of Natural Resources plans to upgrade the Traverse City State Park. Part of the upgrades involve moving the park's entrance, as well as removing the pedestrian bridge across the highway. The bridge connects the park to the beach. Many in the community say they have some safety concerns about the bridge's removal. Our Allie Baxter spoke with someone who lost a loved one in that area when there was no bridge there. She joins us now live from our content center. Allie, how long has the bridge been in place?
Mark, it's been there since 1966, almost 60 years. It spans across 4 lanes today, the same as when it was built in the 60s. But traffic now is much busier than it was then.
I lost a huge chunk of my heart when he was gone.
It may have happened 63 years ago, but Nancy Kyogama remembers every detail of the day her 11-year-old brother Jody was hit by a car while crossing the road by the Traverse City State Park.
He was your typical mischievous, fun little boy. He loved riding bikes, loved teasing us.
As Nancy tells it, on June 15, 1962, Jody was riding a friend's bike to this candy store by the state park.
And he took our orders. I remember I wanted a chocolate, it was back then 2-cent lollipop sucker, and took his order and hopped on his bike, and it wasn't too long after that we heard sirens.
Jody later died from his injuries at Munson Hospital. In 1962, there was no pedestrian bridge there. That changed 4 years later.
It was a pretty big deal when an 11-year-old gets hit by a car and killed. We were a much smaller community back then, and so we were told that that impacted whoever it was that decided to put that bridge up. And it was much needed and still is needed today.
The DNR owns this pedestrian bridge, and the DNR is the agency responsible for the decision to now remove the bridge, a decision Nancy says shocked her.
I was heartbroken, actually. I almost devastated, because to lose a brother, to lose a son, to lose a child is absolutely devastating. And to remove that bridge just increases the risk of another child getting hit and killed. We need it. We need it there.
The joint plan, as described by the DNR and MDOT, is to replace the bridge with a stoplight and pedestrian crossing. But as Nancy and others have explained, this doesn't stop a distracted driver. Although the bridge is not ADA compliant, ideas to add ramps to it were cited as being too expensive.
You can't put a price on people's safety and on people's lives. It's, like I said, it was devastating to our family. We were never the same after that, never. To this day, I can't drive by without thinking about that day. It was life-changing.
To Nancy, this bridge is a reminder of what could have been.
I drive by here all the time, and when I see it, I just always wonder, what if? What if?
Nancy's ask now is for the DNR to rethink the decision to tear down the bridge. We reached out to the provided contact for this DNR project multiple times today. She didn't respond. Live in the Content Center, Allie Baxter, back to you.
Sheplers and the Mackinac Island Ferry Company have filed a lawsuit against the city of Mackinac Island. The suit alleges the island does not have the authority to dictate schedules and ferry rates. According to the lawsuit, Mackinac Island City Council did not have the power to reject Sheplers' proposed 2025 rate increase for ferry boat services and parking. The city cited that since both ferry businesses were owned by one company, which created a monopoly situation, and according to a franchise agreement, gave the city jurisdiction over schedules and fares. Both Sheplers and the Mackinac Island Ferry Company say they asked for rate increases because of ancillary costs related to business, and that the franchise agreement does not give the city the right to regulate those costs.
Well, Sault Ste. Marie Schools District wants input on what could be a major move, closing both elementary buildings and having all students on the same campus. UpNorthLive's Daniel Zivian spoke to staff about why this is happening and how community members can give their feedback.
The reality is we are having less students. The birth rate is declining, and we can't continue to operate 4 buildings that are basically half occupied.
Kronemeyer says the finishing blow came with last year's election, when voters rejected a $43 million bond to build a new elementary school. A coalition of parents, teachers, and staff was formed to whittle 7 or 8 ideas into 2 proposals for the school board.
It was really cool to hear everybody's perspective as like a community member. I'm a teacher, but I'm not a parent. So it was really interesting to hear parent perspectives and also teachers' perspectives. We had specials teachers, so student enrichment classes like art.
Schmidigal says the only difference between the proposals is the timeline. K-5 would occupy the current middle school with the rest in the high school. All students and resources could be in one place as early as this fall.
It'll be more convenient for busing. It'll be easier for lunch. We'll be able to serve our students right from a kitchen as opposed to warmers that keep the food warm and is delivered from another building to here.
Kronemeyer says higher infrastructure costs will degrade education, citing the recent roof collapse that sent middle schoolers back to distance learning.
I think it's no secret that right now we're all a little nervous about what could happen at the federal level for districts at the lowest income potential like we are. That is very concerning to us. So we want to keep all of the programs that we put in place during the pandemic to help our students.
In Sault Ste. Marie, Daniel Zivian, UpNorthLive News.
And an informational meeting has already begun tonight at the high school, but there's a regular Board of Education meeting next Monday. Superintendent says the board will likely vote at a special meeting on March 19th. Online, you can find the detailed proposals along with a community survey. We'll have a link to that with this story on UpNorthLive.com.
Michigan State Police say they need help identifying a man involved in a bank scam they say has occurred throughout the entire state. Take a look at these pictures. MSP says this is the vehicle of a suspect who convinced a man to deposit money into a cash to Bitcoin ATM. It started last month when MSP says a 68-year-old Rogers City man got a letter in the mail that stated it was from Alpena-Elkona Area Credit Union. Troopers said the letter had the bank's letterhead and stated that man's bank account was hacked. The man contacted the phone number on the letter that led him to people who had no association with the credit union. MSP says the suspect was described as an African-American man, possibly 20 to 30 years old, tall and skinny build with short black hair, wearing a black sweatshirt, black pants, and an earring. If anyone has information, you're asked to call the MSP Alpena post.
Getting health resources to rural communities. Addiction Treatment Services is reaching out and going on the road to help bring their services to parts of northern Michigan. They were in Suttons Bay today, the ATS mobile unit. It's a growing program that lets people know help is available no matter where you are. The mobile unit is an extension of the services provided at Addiction Treatment Services in Traverse City. It's been running for 2 years, travels to Antrim, Kalkaska, Benzie, Leelanau, Wexford, and Manistee counties.
There's a lot of resources in these communities, but they're not all connected. So kind of joining everybody together, that's been my big initiative, is to build more collaboration to ensure that people have the fullness of services. We treat the whole individual, not just part of them.
Well, the schedule for the mobile unit is updated every month on the Addiction Treatment Services website.
The Crawford County Commission on Aging has a new director and new plans for the senior center. Director Brian McLaughlin says the commission will begin a transformation into a community center for everyone. The center will be adding a gym to welcome the youth and encourage the entire community to stay active. The gym is expected to be constructed in the next 2 weeks and will have indoor pickleball courts, a track, and basketball courts. With these changes, McLaughlin hopes to expand programming.
That's our goal. It really is after school programs and things like that. But right now we've always been the senior center, and that has been our focus. And so we have a great deal of like low income and need of service people that Meals on Wheels or in-home health care in our visitations, our respite care, those kind of things have always been our focus. And so we're trying to expand.
And the gym is expected to be constructed in the next 2 years. The center will still have popular programs like Silver Sneakers and Zumba.
Packy's Pets and Supplies in Houghton Lake is asking for your help finding their beloved parrot. Jax, 7-year-old that was accidentally let out to the pet store yesterday. Jax was last seen flying east on M55 in Houghton Lake. Jax is a very friendly bird, will approach anyone, especially if they have his favorite food. Spicy Doritos, pecans, or blueberry pancakes. His cage is also set outside the shop with a heat lamp and a camera to monitor if he returns. If anyone has any information or finds Jax, they're urged to contact Packy's. We'll have contact information posted with this story on our website, UpNorthLive.com.
Research shows students whose parents are involved with their education are 81% more likely to graduate from high school. However, 61% of teachers say state teaching standards don't address building relationships and trust with families. Coming up tonight on UpNorthLive News at 11, we'll tell you about a new initiative in Michigan that's helping schools and community partners strengthen the bond between families and educators, all with the goal of helping students succeed. We are exploring Michigan once again. This week we show you sculptures and activities designed to captivate the imagination in downstate Auburn Hills. Coming up.
And for the remainder of tonight, we're going to see rain and warmer temperatures transition into freezing rain, snow, and much colder temperatures along with some wind as well. Pretty messy over the course of the next 12 hours. I'll be covering that in just a few minutes.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.